the next presentation, that is from Dr. Antoine Villiard. Dr. Antoine Villiard is having Masters in Chemical Engineering from ESPCI Paris and postgraduate degree from Rice University in Houston. He spent around 5 years in USA managing the North America agrochemicals business for Solvay. In his 13 years stint in Solvay, his role have covered marketing, business development, key accountant, and sales management in various markets from lubricant, construction, and agriculture. Dr. Antoine is going to speak on novel and sustainable adjuvant for efficacy enhancement. Adjuvants play a very important role in formulations. Use of new and sustainable adjuvant is certainly going to improve the efficacy of plant protection chemicals and ultimately leading to reduce the environmental load of plant protection chemicals. So Dr. Antoine, that is Global Marketing Director for the Agriculture Specialties Business of Solvay on novel and sustainable adjuvant for efficacy enhancement. So let us hear from Dr. Antoine. Please, Dr. Antoine.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all remotely. I hope everyone is safe. My name is Antoine Villiard. I'm the head of global marketing for Solvay. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all remotely. I hope everyone is safe. My name is Antoine Villiard. I'm the head of global marketing for Solvay Agricultural Specialty. And before I start, I would like to thank the Pesticide Manufacturer and Formulator Association of India and the organizer of this virtual online International Crop Science Conference and exhibition. The topic of my presentation today will be novel and sustainable adjuvant for efficacy enhancement. And here is quickly the agenda that I put together for this presentation. First, I will start to give you the overall market context as to why efficacy enhancement is important and explain a bit more in detail technically what functionality, what adjuvant functionality are key to drive this efficacy enhancement. Finally, because we want this to be also a showcase of actual innovation by Solvay, we've selected 3 examples, 2 for herbicide formulation, 1 for liquid micronutrient foliar fertilizer. 3 examples where the right choice of the adjuvant actually deliver significant efficacy benefit to the input, to the agricultural input formulation. So before we jump into those examples, let's spend a bit of time trying to summarize the global trends that we see for our market, agriculture input and their formulation. And here I've tried to draw a parallel between crop protection product, agrochemical product, which is, I would say, the main area of focus of our formulation activity, and the historical one, and recent trends that we're seeing as well transpire over to the fertilizer formulation market. But starting with agrochemical formulation, what are the key driving trends in this industry today? I would say the first one is the imperative to reduce pesticide. This is driven by a consumer demand for less pesticide, safer food. Regulatory agencies across the world are acting on it. And we see the pandemic only accelerating this trend. For example, this year there were two major announcements in that trend. The European Union on May 20th of 2020 unveiled their two key pillars they call strategies, the farm to fork strategy and the biodiversity strategy, which have direct implication, which will have direct implication on the agrochemical formulation industry. One of the mandate being the reduction of pesticide use by 50% by 2030. This is one of the key objectives of the European Union Farm to Fork strategy. And actually, India, 2 days earlier, on May 18th of 2020, the Indian Ministry of Agriculture also announced a proposed ban of 27 active ingredients, which will be banned or restricted due to their toxicity or ecotoxicological profile. And these, I would say, are two clear examples, two very important examples as to why the agrochemical industry needs to really embrace those no regulation, and the fact that pesticide reduction will be a key structuring trend in the industries in the years and decades to come. That's on one of the spectrum. The industry has to deal with this pressure to reduce pesticide. On the other end, farmers and growers are facing more and more resistance issue. Not only glyphosate resistant, which is, I would say, the most publicized resistance issue in the world, in particular in the Americas, North Americas, and soybean. It's a key issue. You also have fungicide resistance impacting Brazil with the Asian soybean rust, and it's also tackle a lot of new mode of action. Sulfonine, urea resistance, and cereal herbicide in Europe. FOP resistance, we start to see these in rice herbicide in China, for instance, in Asia. So more and more, the existing chemistries and mode of actions are encountering resistance issue, and that's a key issue for growers. In addition to that, you have a pipeline of new active ingredient from the big discovery agchem company, which is drying out. For several reasons. First, what we've seen in the past 5 to 10 years is this big agchem space heavily involved in consolidation. So consolidation of the industry means reduce R&D efforts, reduce numbers of active ingredients. The average numbers of introduction of new active ingredient in the past 5 years is on average 5 a year. It used to be 10 per year a decade ago and 15 in the late 90s. So again, here, this is a key trend that the new chemistry and in particular new mode of action will be more and more difficult to reach to market. The cost to register a new active ingredient is now north of $250 million, continues to increase. you have a shrinking pool of big ag chem companies who are focusing on fewer, bigger blockbuster launches. So all this put together, pressure to reduce pesticide, resistance issue, reduced number of new chemistries and mode of action to the market. This has a fundamental application to the formulator, which is having to do more with less. The parallel I want to draw with the fertilizer industry, because we see a similar trend, maybe happening to a lesser extent to fertilizer. Fertilizer company were also in the past focused on delivering large amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, the big major macronutrient. And it was really a supply chain game of delivering nitrogen to the field more and more. And because there are pressure to reduce the CO2 footprint of fertilizer supply, again, in the European Green New Deal, this farm to fork and biodiversity strategy, the target is for agriculture in Europe to become carbon neutral by 2050. The major contributor to CO2 emission in agriculture is nitrogen fertilizer. So again, here, the name of the game is to reduce the amount of fertilizer you bring to the plant, and you focus from quantity to quality. You focus from chemical supply to agronomic performance and nutrition. And that has implication for the guy who's going to formulate those agricultural input, whether it's a crop protection or liquid fertilizer property. If I had to summarize what the implications are for those formulator, it's do more with less. I have to reduce my use rate, my spray volume, while maintaining the efficacy, the biological efficacy of my product. The other trend, and that's the example I use in the fertilizer industry, more and more now you're putting together combos and cocktails of macro and micronutrients. But in the pesticide formulation space too, combining active is a way to, one, overcome resistant issue by, I would say, combining mode of action, and also for marketing and registration and commercial people in the agrochemical industry, bring new market and new solution to the growers who in the past were relying on an abundant pipeline of new active ingredient. This is drying out. So now, again, the shift is to premix and combo in order to continue to bring agronomical value to the growers. And the key tool for formulator will be the right choice and the right formulation of the adjuvant. Before we jump into concrete example, a few words technically on what's going to happen and the role of the adjuvant to deliver this efficacy enhancement performance in the formulation. So the chart you see here from top to bottom, start from the formulation in can, and you're going to create your spray solution. You're going to dilute it in your spray tank. Then the role of the formulation and the adjuvant and the physical chemical properties of your droplet, of your spray tank, will be to make sure that the active ingredient will be delivered to target, and once on target, it will stay on target. Well, the first part, delivery to target. Make sure that from the spray tank to the target, you have no physical drift, no movement, that the droplet will actually reach its target. And here, the choice of the adjuvant will be really to make sure that the physical property of the droplet are such that you limit drift. So here we talk about DRAs, drift reduction adjuvant. This was actually the topic of our past lecture in 2019 by my colleague, Dr. Marc Ballastre, who introduced our tank mix and built-in concept developed by Solvay for drift reduction. Today, we're going to focus on what's going to happen on target. What are the adjuvant? What choice of adjuvant? What choice of physical properties, of functionalities are required to make sure that the active ingredient, once it's been delivered to target, stays on target. And here, the key performance attribute of an adjuvant is to make sure that you have good retention, spreading, weighting, and ultimately, this is what will enhance penetration and translocation into the target, whether it's a contact a mode of action or systemic mode of action. And that is this is where you'll see the biological effect. Just to put numbers on efficacy, on pesticide efficacy, between drift, between the spray tank and the target, and loss to leaching, rain fastness, rebound, you can lose up to 50% of a pesticide amount, which was initially in your spray tank, which will not reach their target site. So again, I can only emphasize the importance of a good adjuvant with the right physical attribute, the importance of this adjuvant in your formulation choice. So let's move to concrete example of recently launched innovative adjuvant designed specifically by Solvay to address those issue of retention on target. Enterox EP26 and Enterox 2457 are built-in adjuvant developed for rice fop herbicide, cialofops in particular. So again, if you look at the physical property of the formulation that were designed with those two Enterox novel adjuvant, what you see is that even with a surface tension reduction of 3 to 5%, which does not sound high, but even with a reduction of surface tension in that range, you will be able, via weighting on the leaf, in particular hard to weight, I would say hairy weed type, grass type weed, sorry, by enhancing weighting and retention of the cialofop formulation, you can see a tremendous increase in efficacy. We've tested those formulation in greenhouse and field trial. What you see on the right, on the top part, the picture is greenhouse trial. You see the benchmark on the left with fairly high Chinese sprangletop weeds, which are dramatically reduced when you move to the plot on the right, whether it's the Anthrax EP27 or even more with the 245S, you see clearly that even a weighting agent, an adjuvant like Anthrax formulated with cyanophop, increasing the weighting onto grass weeds, that will have an impact on weed control directly. It's even more obvious when you look at the picture of field trials, which were carried out in Shanghai, in China, in the summer of 19. You see on the right fairly high weed pressure from sprangle tops too, so hairy grass weeds. And on the left, clean rice paddy, no weed pressure, and a clear improvement in terms of herbicide efficacy. Our next example is Journal NATS, which is a novel bioactivator designed for glufosinate formulation. And again, here, the key is for our chemists, for our formulation chemists in the lab, was to come up with a new adjuvant that will drastically change the physical behavior, the physical chemical property of the formulation, and while maintaining the weed control efficacy of glufosinate. The drastic evolution of the formulation that has been achieved with Journal NATS is, number one, viscosity reduction, drastic viscosity reduction from 198 to 30. So it's almost a tenfold reduction in viscosity, which makes the formulation much easier to handle, which makes the spray volume much lower also, which makes this glufosinate formulation compatible when you have to combine it with other products. Surface tension reduction as well. You can see here on the screen, it's a significant reduction, 30%. Surface tension reduction means 30% better weighting and coverage. Better weighting and coverage mean, again, lower spray volume. So here, the enhancement in active uptake, which is enabled by this new adjuvant in this formulation, ultimately will allow the farmer to have the same superior weed control efficacy of glufosinate. And you see here, compared to benchmark, very similar weed control performance over a variety of broadleaf, crabgrass, hairy grass, spangletop grass weed, having the same efficacy with an increasingly higher ease of application, stability, lower spray volume, which all goes in the direction of making the herbicide spray application more efficient with less active ingredient. My final example today, before I conclude, I wanted to showcase also this quite unique, very innovative super weighting agent, AgroFetWet1, which was developed by our technical team, our formulation team in Shanghai and Singapore, specifically as an adjuvant for Foliar Micronutrient. So when built in with those new special liquid fertilizer, the example here is a complex blends of potassium, phosphorus, and micronutrient like zinc micronutrient. When combined with this complex formulation, the key things being stability first, but we're able in a very complex formulation environment also to provide very significant surface tension reduction as well, meaning increased weighting performance. Whether you see, with 100x dilution factor or 1,000 dilution factor, you consistently improve the weighting of this Foliar Micronutrient onto your leaf. And that's the picture on the right, on the far right. You can see with that adjuvant, you see, on a hydrophobic leaf surface, you see the droplets of liquid fertilizer beating out and creating this mist of very fine droplets. It's a non-even fill. You had 2% fert wet, and immediately you have outstanding weighting property. It really looks like a film forming adjuvant. And that coverage of the leaf, this is what will enable the uptake of the nutrient into the leaf. So in conclusion, I wanted to highlight these new innovative adjuvant developed recently in the past few months by Solvay as new tool for formulators of crop protection or foliar liquid fertilizer products, as key tools that will enable you to continue to bring high quality efficacy, biological efficacy in your product by making sure you use the right adjuvant property, either for drift control, for retention in the cases that we've seen here, and as a leader in adjuvant formulation and design, Solvay is committed to bring you these simulation and more to come in the future in order to meet the increasingly challenging market constraints in agrochemical formulation. With that, I thank you for your time, and we will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Anton, your talk is quite informative. Adjuvants are very important in the light of the problem of resistance and proposed banning of restrictions of pesticides and development of new molecules. Adjuvants play a very important role. It enhances efficacy, it reduces inputs, and developing combinations pesticides. You rightly said, sir, right choice of adjuvants, it increases efficacy of formulations, and right formulations deliver to target, and there is no physical loss, as 50% pesticides loss not increasing at their target site. Now, Thank you, sir. May I ask participants to ask only 2 questions because of the time restrictions? So kindly share your name and company details before asking the questions. Delegates, please. Thank you, Mr. Anton. Yes, question, sir. Is coming on the screen? Sir, are you able to see the questions?
Yes, I saw the question. Thank you. Thank you for the question. The question was related to the last product I showcased, the Agro-Fertwet, and how it compares to a traditional super wetter on the market, some silicon-based. So this one is first it's silicon-free, and as you see from the spreading property, it has been designed specifically for foliar application, in particular to guarantee good compatibility with high salt formulation, like the one that are typical for foliar fertilizer. And we'll be happy to take follow-up question on that too, and I'll direct them to our technical team in Asia.
Yes, sir. It has another question, sir.
Yeah, I couldn't read the question. I couldn't see the question.
Yeah, sir, I can read it. Can we have effective super wetters for solvent-based EC formulations? What would be the doses?
Okay, so super wetter and EC formulation, typically our formulation strategy would be to play on the choice of the solvent and the emulsifier. So there's not a one size fits all solution, but we have a range of innovative green solvent too, and specific emulsifier that can be used to achieve significant surface tension reduction. Maybe not to the amount of a silicon-based super wetter for EC formulation, but again here the approach would be if you have specific active ingredient in mind, that you contact the Solvay technical team and business team in Asia, and we would be able to assist you with this formulation challenges.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Participants, due to the time restrictions, I am moving forward to the next presentation. Miss Ina, are you available?